Hi, sweeties. How are you doing? Welcome to Naya Sim, and thank you all so much for all the love and support. Hope you all are doing great. You all definitely will know this discussion that we've been talking about for a longer time. Why white women and black women cannot work together, right? And you all remember that there was a discussion that was raised about working with a palm colored woman or palm colored man. And black women choose palm colored men for a reason. And since then, it's been going back and forth and all that. But trust me, these people have proven that it is not okay or conducive to be in the same workspace with them because they definitely will come out with what they know how to do best. And for anybody that chose colored men, I absolutely know why you chose them because till this very moment, they are still looking for a way to bring down the woman that talked about that. They got her demonetized, which was not enough for her. They are still working so hard to bring her page. Not only that, she has been trolled. She wakes up every day to them calling her Ray to the seas, and at the same time saying that she is a mon and king and also an ape, using the N word on her. Why? Because she made a point. You guys are really unbelievable. Let's get into.
Hey, women of whiteness. I'd like to have a chat with y'all. Just me and y'all as a collective, but it's just us here. But I'd like to have a talk. So I don't get on this app nearly as much as I should. But I did happen to catch some of the bear discourse that was happening. Specifically, I saw this wonderful video from White Woman Whisperer. She really told y'all to get in y'all's hut of humility, which I absolutely loved. That phrasing, I adored her video. And I was like, wow, she said everything that needed to be said, and I don't need to say anything. And this is wonderful. I think I might have even reposted her video, and it was great. No notes. But then I found out a few days later that apparently she had been bullied. Her videos had been mass reported. She had been demonetized. Just a bunch of stuff happened. And presumably, y'all, women of whiteness, were the reason why. I already know that some of y'all are taking umbrage to me saying that y'all were the demographic who was probably responsible for White Woman Whisperer getting demonetized. But just hang with me. I can already tell you most assuredly that the majority of that account's audience are women who are this color. Women of this shade. So you can't stunt and deflect and try to get out of it. Well, it might not have been you, but it was people who look like you. Just stay with me. Stay with me now. For the past decade, really more than a decade, I've watched women who are this color jump up on these apps, jump in these comment sections, jump on this social media, jump on these blogs, jump on these comments, whatever it is. Anywhere that a black woman is talking to y'all about race, talking to y'all about racism, talking to y'all about sexism, talking to y'all about misogynoir, anywhere that we've been, y'all have been there too. And anywhere that we have been, y'all have been right there. Y'all have been right there in the front row saying with, just the most earnest, heartfelt, if I ever do that, call me out, blah, 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 blah. Y'all have done that. I've watched y'all for the past decade be like, I'm listening. For the past decade or better, y'all have been like, we need to get our stuff together as white women. However, every time that we have called you out, have called you on your mess, have said, hey, don't do that, have told you the myriad ways that your brand of feminism has left us behind, every time we're met with defensiveness. Every single time. This isn't a one-time phenomenon. This isn't even something that's been going on just for a decade. This has been the chief critique that we have had of y'all as women for the past 400 years. At every juncture where there could have been meaningful solidarity between us, y'all have always chosen this. That right there. Y'all have always chosen that. And I'm going to take it a step further and say that palm-colored liberal women are the worst about it, because y'all will say with y'all's words that you have solidarity with us, but you will choose this with your actions. Again, every single time. Racism is a choice. Being racist is a choice. This is a choice. Y'all chose. Collectively, y'all chose. Y'all are constantly choosing racism. Y'all are constantly choosing misogynoir. Constantly. You are constantly prioritizing this over meaningful solidarity with other historically marginalized and oppressed groups. Black women cannot educate you out of that. We can't therapize you out of that. We can't carve out a yellow brick road and help you be able to click your heels 3 times and to get out of like racist behind Oz. Like, we cannot do that. Y'all have to do it. Y'all have to make the choice. Do better, y'all.
I'm not going to generalize because not everyone is the same. And I wouldn't want someone to generalize and put me in a box that I don't belong. But one of my most traumatic experiences at work happened under a white supervisor, a white woman supervisor. And I'm not saying traumatic, like, I'm not exaggerating. I could not believe the belittling, the microaggression, just the way that I was treated overall in academia. To the point that I'm trying still to fight the system, even though I don't work there anymore. As someone who has gone through a lot of struggles in life as a Black Latina, as it relates to having access and opportunities to spaces where people don't look like me, being homeless, trying to move up the ladder, getting a doctoral degree because that's what society tells us to do. That's what she told me to be able to move up the ladder in academia. And then blatantly told me that I don't belong in those spaces because of the way that I look. And other things that are just so traumatic to recount. Anyway, get my book. It's called Leadership is a Responsibility. Unfortunately, I went and interviewed other Black women and women of color in the workplace. And unfortunately, it's a very common experience. Women of color are being treated miserably in workplaces. And I wrote a book about it. And to reflect on my own experience and their experience, the only thing that I could relate my experience to was The Handmaid's Tale, the dystopian nightmare that women were put through. And I created a fictional character, not a fictional character, but I named those white supervisors of Karen, coming from Karen, just to give it a little bit of pop culture. In trying to, laugh at the misfortune and I guess to cope with it, because I needed to add a little detail and make the book interesting as I was recounting all of these traumatic events that happened at work. But yeah, that was my experience, and unfortunately the experiences of many women that I interviewed for my book called Leadership is a Responsibility. It was tough, it was bad, it was inhumane, and it's still happening.
I have a stream of consciousness to get out. On Twitter earlier today, and Wendell Pierce, who is a pretty famous actor, been in a lot of stuff, actively working. He applied for an apartment in Harlem, had like his pay stubs, proof of employment, plus he's actively working. And he was turned down by the white landlord of the white apartment management company. And when he shared this story, there was a white woman who is a reporter who said, "This is so unbelievable, this is so shocking, so surprising," something along those lines. And I gave the invite of saying, it's not shocking. And with that, I gave kind of the invite to remember that if it's shocking to you, that's one thing. It doesn't mean it's shocking to the people that it's happening to, or the people that are in community with the people that it's happening to, or the people that share the demographic. It's not shocking. Plus, it's not shocking to see racism happen. If you're shocked by it, you've had your eyes closed for a really long time. And what I was met with was this. I think despite that many of us know this is happening, I've been reporting on racism in the U.S. for years. It's essential to keep saying that it's shocking, that it should shock people. What Black Americans have to face daily shouldn't be, mustn't be hand-waved by white people. Here's my stream of consciousness, because what Victoria did there, I've seen it happen a lot in the comment sections and other places when we talked about this before, where white people who think that they're being allies will speak over Black people, even in the face of saying, hey, this isn't actually working for us. My stream of consciousness is to remember that when we tell you something, to listen to us and to believe us. When anybody tells you something, especially if they're from a group that you're not a part of, and they're telling you something about their experience, believe them. Especially if your response is that you've been reporting on something for X amount of years, but not experiencing it, and in that same claim not saying that you've been denouncing it. That doesn't work. What happens sometimes is there are a lot of buzzwords that are being thrown around, a lot of catchphrases or things that you've heard in social justice spaces that you feel that you can throw back at the very people that you're supposed to be fighting for. And that needs to stop. I want this next part to be listened to very carefully with critical thinking ears and listening ears. When it comes to fighting against systems of oppression, if you find your place in the role of what would be the oppressor, you need to lead to get that system dismantled. If you are benefiting from a system and you truly want to work in the act of liberation, then that should be the very system that you work the hardest to dismantle. The thing is, you cannot be an oppressor or in an oppressive state and also fight for liberation. Those two things cannot exist at the same time. They simply can't. Because part of being an oppressor is making sure that you remain an oppressor. And if you're fighting for liberation, then you won't remain an oppressor. You have to make the decision, but you can't be both.
Okay, so here's the other thing about white women. Y'all have so much solidarity when we are in the room. Right? Then you stick up for each other, right? I think this is a great moment to kind of combine different issues that have gone on recently, right? So it's not just the white woman who has caused an offense, who has offended, who has victimized, done a thing. It's the all of a sudden, y'all never care about each other, but now you're stepping up because you want someone to step up for you when it's you. Now, instead of being like, hope that's never me, you're like, well, that could have been me, and I don't like the way she's talking to me, and so now I'm going to stand up for her because I hope someone stands up for me. That's where the violence comes in. So in the recent issue with Doris Star Tucker, you know, the issue with white violence is Sim didn't know necessarily that it's not just what your action is that is the harm that is caused, right? It's the follow through, it's the remnants, it's the consequences of what you do. Whether you intended or wanted your people to be racist towards that person, no matter what, they will find a reason. This person, you know, they will stalk and wait till they can find another victim of mine to then jump and defend as just a way to attack. They're waiting for another purpose, because then they use borrowed outrage and like they're just coming to the aid of someone else. So there's like moral self-righteousness in there. So it's not just you, it's everyone after you that comes to defend you. So once you apologize and you're done, there's still going to be people coming in because they wouldn't have done that to now stick up for you and explain for you, because it's them now. They identify with you. We're the enemy. Because in their binary thinking, there's one good guy, one bad guy. all that stuff. So anyway, so like, this is really the issue we have, right? Not so much the initial thing, right? Because trauma comes when you're re-traumatized by that action, right? So we know when you go out in the world and then something terrible happens to you, That's terrible, right? But then you go to tell someone about it and they're like, right? That's one aspect. But then you go get the something terrible kit done, and that is often worse than the original offense, right? Now, I'm still mad at the offender because had I not been offended, I would not be getting re-offended in the name of the law, right? But this is still worse, so I'm going to address this. But you need to know when you do this, there is fallout trauma. It is not just the thing you are doing, whether you are offending or not offending. It's, are you believing? Who are you defending? Who are you believing? Why? We already know the answers to those things. Please don't answer yet. Journal time, journal time. Good morning, everybody. Jennifer Engel, born in 1979, had things to say to me. Oh, now you come towards me, Frances Marie. Now you come towards me. Okay. So Jennifer has some problems with me and my piñata analogy because I'm black. And I had things to say. Anyway, I don't really care about this, but I wanted to point out that privilege will have you doing this stuff on the full internet with your full last name. I can't tell you the amount of times. Oh, you want to sit by yourself? Okay. I can't tell you the amount of times I've had people with their full first and last name. Be careful. Okay. Now she's getting a toy. Are you gonna chase the ball? Okay. She don't like when y'all do this shit to me. She was fine 2 seconds ago. See, Jennifer? Do you want some of that? I bet you don't.
So this is actually all I got from the stitches and all that. The fact that I didn't know where to start from this video because you all already know that this like her discourse has actually lingered for a longer time since last month when this bear and men versus bear and white women versus black women and all that being in the same room, and who with black women chose white men, and the white women became very, very mad. To my greatest surprise, this is close to a month, and this young lady, she has not rested. She wakes up every day to palm-colored women trolling her, cursing. When I say cursing her out, really cursing her out, and writing so many not nice comments for her. And I am asking, there are some things you see that also reminds you that you probably were not lying, because sometimes people think that black women are always lying, especially when they try to urge their view and all that. No, because right now it's very obvious where problems are coming from. Because she actually tried to pass a message across to them. There is this thing like they always do. Each time you try to pass a message across to them, they become very defensive. And when they become very defensive, then you know that where that will lead to. Sometimes it doesn't end well. That was why they came together. You see, all this period, you never see them together or trying to find, how do I say that? Probably find a solution to something, right? But when she said what she said, they came together. When I said they teamed up together, got her account demonetized, and also told her that this is the beginning, that they don't know why your account is still up. So the next plan was probably to get her account banned. And can imagine, since then to this very moment, they are still on her comment section trying to use some slur on her and all that. But sincerely speaking, let me tell us something. That really boils down to why Black women choose white men. It's really very obvious. Because if they can do something like this to someone they do not know, who was actually trying to pass a message across to them, trust me, a Black woman or a Black person, like whoever in the same office with them, you are actually in problem, because I do not know how somebody is going to manage them. Most time they are not manageable, because the attitude that comes with them and all that is usually very huge. You get what I am saying? I have worked with most of them, and I can tell you that I don't know how to say that, but there is this, we always say, green snake in a green grass. When there is a green snake in a green grass, it is very rare for you to find the snake, right? So you probably will be walking in the green grass, thinking that you are just walking, and then boom, from nowhere, you get like a snake will strike, right? So that is how they usually operate. And the fact that they refuse to take corrections and all that tells you also how ready they are to, like, to show themselves and all that. Did she say anything wrong? Not at all, because I did not see anything wrong with what she said. Are they doing all those things she talked about? Yes, they are doing it. Even some of them came out to say that they are always the problem in places of work and all that. And then some of them are saying that why is it that Black women choose white women instead of women supporting women? Now, sometimes women supporting women is very important, but not all the time, especially when you know that the people that you want to work with are not workable. Like, you cannot work with them. Can two work together except they agree? You have to agree before you work together. So there is no how I am going to work with you if we do not agree. Right? This is something some of them need to really put sentiment, emotions aside and listen to what people are telling you about, how they feel, what they feel, and the rest of it. You can't keep saying, because you are a pop-colored woman, when it is time for you to come out and fight for what is right, you definitely will be absent. But now look at you putting so much energy into the wrong. If there's anything like wrong, there is not. It's not an English. There's no like wrong guest. But I am just going to use it, right? So just to tell you how they are. Some of them were just built up that way. And then they will come back to tell you that we can work it out. What are we working out? There is nothing to work out, because in the end, you're still going to be the one to breach the rules, or if there is any contract, you will still be the one to breach the contract. Sorry, I am sounding sad or maybe tough. I don't know, but man, it's really disgusting that still there is nothing they have not called that woman. They have called her ape, they have called her mon, and there is nothing they have used the N word. There is nothing they haven't called her, just because she made a point. See you all in my next video. Bye for now.